everybody. I was very surprised to discover how the morning started. I should be standing here, right? It's like it's a stable here, you know, right? So you cannot dance out of it because then you will get off the camera. I feel like we were sitting for a bit too long, so I do want to offer you a short exercise. Like, please raise a hand who feels himself an employee. Employee. I was expecting 100% of hands being up. Please raise the second hand who feels himself as a manager, like employer. And please stand up those who run a company. Incredible. Okay, thank you. I will have 3 parts in my presentation down the road, so now I know to whom I target. Thank you very much. I wanted to start with a very well-known quote from Winston Churchill. Surprising about that, it's seconds basically to David's presentation in the early mornings. Like, if you're going through hell, just keep going. And this is presumably attributed to Sir Winston Churchill as he spoke to the troops to be dismantled to the Normandy back in the Second World War. Truth is that there's no proof of Sir Winston Churchill ever saying that. But I still like it very much because it resonates to me with my corporate career. Every time I face transformation, every time I have an assignment to go and change an enterprise, and through my career, I usually was building startups within established organizations like Philip Morris, like Decathlon, like largest retailers of the countries. You are facing challenge of facing the legacy. You're facing challenge of facing complacency. You're facing challenge of facing the need to explain to people who have been doing the business for years why they should be changing their guardrails going forward. And at the moment, it feels like the world is in peril in terms of AI. And setting the stage, I found a very interesting picture published by Financial Times very recently. I will try a fancy feature. Oh yeah, it works. That's incredible. So that chart was published by Financial Times, and this basically says that given everything what we know, with AI disrupting the world, we have a linear trend going forward. Like, I'll try it again, like this. So all things being equal, we should be quite okay. But in worst case, we will just go to extinction. In best case, we will be in nirvana, in very simple terms. And I was shocked when I first discovered that. I was like, isn't it scary? But then I was like, okay, if I remember any significant change in my life, wasn't the prediction looking the same? Like a linear of approximation of a trend and an infinite margin of error. Isn't it just a fancy way to say that they have no clue about what's going on? Right? The other interesting thing is that and this is the Anthropic report. This is a very interesting thing, and this thing, again, I'm Mickey Mousing a bit for the morning to give you a bit of emotion, so serious part will follow. But this was the first time when I actually saw the real face of AI. Like, do you see the nose? Do you see the forehead? Do you see the ponytail? Isn't it incredible? On a serious note, the blue represents a potential of AI to overtake human roles, human areas of expertise. And in the circle, is it visible enough? Not really, right? It goes all the way from business, finance, computer math, architecture, all the way to agriculture, construction, production, everything. The good part to that is that even though blue represents a potential, red represents the factual state of affairs. We are only that big in actually covering with AI capabilities the real human fields of knowledge and expertise. Is it scary? Not really. Is it inspirational? I do believe big time. Why is it inspirational? Because it presents us the leverage, it presents us the opportunity. How can we finally free up our hands and the hands of our employees to let them and let us finally do all the projects which we were not doing for many years because we had no time? The funniest thing I've heard going along the lines of this chart is that, like, AI changed my life completely. Previously, I had only 3 pet projects in my backyard. Now I have 45. This is the other way to look at this. This is how people perceive the impact of their AI into what they do. The red thing represents a scope of responsibilities which you can hand over to AI. The gray, I will again use this fancy feature, the gray circle is actually what humans do. Task humans can do, task an AI can do. And we're somewhere in between. What does this mean? Why I'm showing this? It means that people on all levels feel AI participation in their life. They feel not only invitation, but a very strong nudge to try, to experiment, to learn, because everybody's scared. I mean, at all levels of management, there are people, and people are driven by fear, people are scared, people are uncertain, people are concerned. So people start learning. What is interesting about this is that you know that every year there is a contest about what is the word of the year. You know that, right? Worldwide. So recently I've read a very interesting article published by Financial Times again, with a very interesting candidate for the word of the year of 2026. Do you have any idea what it can be? So the word is token maxing. It's bizarre. It's crazy, but it's also super interesting to consider, because what it means that people start competing on who uses most tokens within the company among peers. Why am I showing this? Because that's the whole craziness of optimizing the function according to the incentives. If we are scaring people with potential AI impact, not providing enough clarity, and giving them the opportunity to learn in terms of funding their investment in AI, they will definitely go for the easiest function which is there, which is how many tokens you use. Incredible products will surface based on that, for sure. Like, you know OpenClaw, right? So OpenClaw is a 100% vibe-coded monster, which at the moment disrupts so many things. And crazy part to that is that it's like purely vibe-coded. People who created that were not possessing enough architectural, technical, programming skills to develop that piece of thing by themselves, right? And this is now overtaking the whole set of people, not roles, but rather functions, features, what people do, right? Why is that important? It's important that we as people who run organizations, we as people who try to figure out the way how we can adopt, accommodate, and ride the wave of AI, we have to be very careful about which incentive functions we're creating. And since my talk was expected to be about bridging the gap between people and organizations, I believe that basically there are three perspectives which are super important to keep in mind. Like a perspective one is the company. Like if I'm considering just business, just P&L, just growth targets, what do I do? How do I think about bridging the gap between people and AI? Second is leaders. As soon as we are not only humans by ourselves, but we also employ other people, we have to take care of them, and we have to be mindful about how do we communicate the change which is on one hand unavoidable, and on the other hand should not be unavoidably deadly. Right? So that's the challenge. And the third part is individualistic. Like we're all humans. We all had no clue about AI 3 years ago. I mean, with a rare exception. And we all now face a situation where you wake up every morning and there's something new happened, right? And I will spend, oh Jesus Christ, I have 5 minutes still, so I'll spend a bit time going perspective by perspective. And I will try to connect it with real life, but I'm begging your pardon in advance because it's very hard to connect it with real life since it's so fresh. And who knows the Crossing the Chasm book and research? Okay, so there is a very interesting research which shows the speed of adaptation to innovation. It says like they're early adopters on one hand. As soon as they accumulate to 13%, there's a chasm. As soon as that 13% jumps to 20, if I'm not mistaken, the whole majority starts joining, and then there are laggards. Laggards are usually the slowest and most cautious, most risk-averse. So I was happy, and I was lucky, and I was unlucky with my career. Lucky because I had an opportunity to get exposed to largest corporations worldwide, like Philip Morris. Unlucky because usually those corporations are quite laggardish in their attitude. So it's very hard to bring your real-life examples with this because this is just fresh. However, The most interesting perspective I've ever heard about bridging the gap between humans and AI at a corporate level is try to launch initiatives of developing your own competitor. Like, if we know that there will be companies which will deploy new technology to conquer our place and position on the market, what prevents us from doing this ourselves? Let's set up a team and let's give them resources and assign to them a task of developing the same business model from the AI first perspective, from a completely, let empower them doing anything. If they succeed, we will have a chance to survive because this will be still the same company. More specific example, which I think is super relevant, is the last piece. Again, fancy feature. The last piece, think value chains. If you can take a value chain, the whole vertical thing, and rebuild it with AI first approach, and then consider if it requires any people to be added whatsoever, you have an opportunity and the space to have a completely different approach to business. And simple, again, a bit Mickey Mouse-ish example to that is, again, OpenClaw. Let's develop something which does what usually was dedicated to associates, to assistants, to whoever. Let's do it completely standalone technically. The other example of value chain rethinking is everything what is going on with legal. We have I've lost my English word. It is very easy to algorithmize all legal work. It is very easy to digitize all resources of information. It is very easy to automate the decision-making process and the case revision process. As soon as this is true, we can rebuild the whole thing using AI in the first place, and then put the human in the loop to ensure consistency, to ensure reliability, to ensure cross-checks. But that will be a different approach. And this, to me, for the moment, like for today, tomorrow it will be different, as we all know. For today, this seems the most reasonable approach for companies. But this, again, I'm very aware that this requires a tremendous amount of boldness. It's like a rare company is ready to set up a task force to reinvent themselves. From a leader perspective, I believe that this is the toughest spot to be because it requires a very strong combination of vulnerability and boldness. Vulnerability is required to be brave enough and mature enough to admit that we don't have a clue ourselves. It's like we're learning the whole thing together with every employee there is. We don't know. It is possible that our closest ones, our best possible employees or our worst employees will figure out something much better than we are. And it requires courage, I believe, to admit it, and that requires also a skill and maturity. I believe that skill is based in maturity, to be able to create space where these people are feeling comfortable to share, where those people are feeling that they do not develop their competitive muscle to win against the company, but they are developing their muscle to help company to rebuild itself, to be present in the future. And that's a very tough call for leadership, to my understanding. The last part is personal perspective. Like the best advice there is for personal is just start building today. Take whatever mundane task you're having, pay $20 for whatever LLM you're using, and try to develop your own optimization solutions, tools for writing your emails. Do not just rely on your Copilot, which is provided by the company. Try to build your own automation of your own workflows. Like, I recently applied for American visa. It's a very long form, like I believe many of us know. Like as soon as you apply for American visa, it's like 20 pages of form. If you make a wrong click, you start all over. It takes usually half a day. You're ready to kill somebody at the end of it, but you're getting through it, right? So this is possible to automate with Claude Cowork. It's possible to create a website within an hour with Claude Cowork, like no problem at all at the moment. Take whatever there is and just start trying. And the more you will try, the more you will learn. A very interesting thing, which to me connects leader's perspective and personal perspective, is that the better you experience AI integration in real life problem solving, the more clear it becomes that the crux is very much the same we had with Teams. The thing is that AI makes uncomfortable truths harder to avoid, AI makes it more visible that as long as we're not clear ourselves what exactly we want to do, as long as we're not really knowing which process we have to follow, there's no one who will compensate for that with their life experience, because AI doesn't have any life experience. We have to tell AI what exactly we need to do. And the positive side of that is that as soon as you figure out what exactly is the algorithm behind any job you're doing, you're able not only to repeat that, but also to create something similar but totally different. The most inspiring example I have just last week out of my conversation with one of the INSEAD professors back in Singapore, who holds a patent for knowledge creation. He figured out to create the algorithm, like full AI algorithm, which is capable of creating knowledge on any topic, on any subject, on any language, and he uses that, for example, to print several hundreds of thousands of books dedicated to agriculture in specific areas of planet Earth. And they did it fully automatically, exactly because they at some point were happy to figure out what is the algorithm behind the agricultural professionals, what exactly they are doing to know how to combine weather, crops information, and everything. That story is about the fact that as soon as you start seriously thinking, start seriously looking at whatever tasks you're having and whatever tasks you're feeling mundane, and as soon as you will be able to extract algorithms out of that, you will have an opportunity to delegate it to AI, and this will be 100% reliably solved. The last part I feel like I sped up, I will have some minutes for questions probably. The last part I want to add to that is that usually when I remember myself talking about automation and digital transformation in companies like Decathlon and others, regular line employees are getting scared that they will be called redundant, which is a very natural reaction. I believe with AI, we have a very interesting opportunity where the replacement is so relatively cheap that we have a very big luxury, which I believe is very temporal. We have a luxury of using the same people for doing different things. And I believe one of the biggest opportunities we're at the moment facing is actually allowing ourselves a creativity and space and thought of what exactly we would like to do with all that resource we're now freeing up. Because on one hand, it is very easy to call it a day and cut the costs and let people go. It will impact our P&L on the positive side. It will create some sort of a positive signal to the market. But on the other hand, those people have experience, those people spend a lot of time with the company, those people have creativity, which AI doesn't have, at least for now. Those people have a desire to work in the company in the first place because they are already there. So why are we necessitating the redundancy call for those who are ready to contribute? And I believe that this perspective shift of actually admitting the fact that we have a lot of allies and we can use them because we are freeing their hands up is one of the biggest luxuries we're at the moment facing more and more with AI impact on companies, cultures, and society. I want to add with another quote, I believe much more positive. It's a little bit complicated, but the idea is that literacy still remains extremely important, but in the modern century, it's much more about relearning than about learning in the first place. And I think the more experienced we are, the more mature we are, the more knowledgeable we are, the harder this challenge actually becomes. I'm watching my 8-year-old youngest son, how easily he learns languages. He now speaks 4, I only speak 2. It's incredible. He doesn't care. It's like, it's a wrong word, that's fine. When I need to learn something new, I have to admit that, yeah, sometimes I have to overcome quite a bit of disappointment in myself. And I believe that, yeah, I want to leave you with an idea of relearning as the mantra of nowadays. And I think that's all from me for today.